What happens when you finally stop negotiating with your own value? Not by repeating hollow affirmations, but by awakening to a truth that settles deep into your bones. You are worthy without condition. Most of us live beneath that truth. We trade our peace for approval. We forgive people who keep breaking us. We accept crumbs and call it kindness. In Buddhism, there is a shift, a quiet but irreversible turning point where you stop chasing and start choosing. And when it happens, life itself begins to change. Stay with me, because at the end, I'll share a powerful bonus habit that can rewire your self-worth forever. Before we begin with number 1, subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom, where every video is a doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. 1. The silent currency of life. If your self-worth were written in invisible ink, what story would it leave across the pages of your days? The world has a quiet way of reading it, even when you think no one is watching. The world mirrors what you believe you deserve. These are not just poetic words. They are a truth that shapes every interaction, every choice, every unseen ripple of your life. Your self-worth is like the fragrance of a flower. No one can touch it, yet it changes the way the world approaches you. When a flower releases its scent, bees arrive without it calling. In the same way, when you carry the fragrance of self-respect, you don't have to chase acceptance. It comes to you naturally. Imagine walking into a room carrying nothing but quiet certainty. No performance, no mask, no desperate need to be liked. Only the steady, grounded knowing that you are enough. Watch closely, even in your mind's eye, how people's eyes shift toward you, how their words soften, how the room bends subtly around your presence. But when self-worth is neglected, we unconsciously send a different signal, one that tells the world we are willing to settle for less. That's when life offers us crumbs instead of a feast. Not because life is cruel, but because we have silently agreed to it. How many times have you said yes when your heart was begging you to say no? How often have you tolerated words or actions that left you feeling smaller? Buddhism teaches that all things arise from the mind. The way you value yourself is not arrogance. It is mindfulness in action. It is the recognition that your time, your energy, and your presence are sacred. When you honor these, you align with the truth that every being has inherent worth. And in that alignment, the outer world begins to reflect the respect you give yourself. So pause and ask yourself, what silent message does your presence send before you even speak? Does it say, I am worthy of peace, kindness, and love? Or does it whisper, I will accept whatever is given to me? Remember, you teach others how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. The shift begins the moment you stop bargaining with your own soul. The day you decide to value yourself is the day your relationships change, your boundaries strengthen, and your inner peace grows roots. This is the silent currency of life. It needs no announcement, only consistent practice. When you finally value yourself, you stop chasing seats at tables you've outgrown. You rise and the world rises with you, the chain between craving and settling. Why does wanting something too much often make it slip away? At first it seems unfair, like life is withholding what you've worked so hard for, but beneath the surface lies a quieter truth. Desire without wisdom leads to self-abandonment. When the heart burns with unbalanced craving, it stops listening to what truly serves it and starts bargaining with its own dignity just to hold on. It is like gripping a bird too tightly. You hope to keep it close, but the very pressure of your hands harms what you wanted to protect. Or imagine holding water in your palms. At first it rests there, cool and clear. But the moment you clench your fingers, it slips away through the smallest spaces. In this way, our fear of losing can become the reason we lose. When we want someone's love, approval, or opportunities so badly, we often start bending ourselves into shapes that don't fit who we are. We tolerate what we shouldn't. We chase when silence would serve us better. And without realizing, we trade away our peace, our values, and our self-respect for the mere chance of keeping what we desire. Buddhism teaches that attachment is not love, and craving is not care. True value of self or others can only grow in the space where freedom and respect are present. When we cling, we create suffering, because clinging says, "I am not enough without this." But valuing yourself says, "I am whole, and I will share that wholeness with what complements it, not what consumes it." So where in your life have you held on so tightly that you lost yourself? Was it in a relationship where silence felt safer than speaking your truth? Was it in a job that drained you because leaving felt too risky? Or perhaps in the image of who you thought you had to be, long after it stopped feeling like you? If you loosen your grip, you do not lose everything. You simply stop crushing it. You allow what is meant for you to stay, not because you trapped it, but because it chooses to remain. And what is not meant for you, you let drift away without making your worth the cost of keeping it. The chain between craving and settling is broken the moment you decide that nothing is worth abandoning yourself for. When you stand in that quiet power, life begins to meet you with the same energy. You stop chasing, and you start attracting. You stop gripping, and you start receiving. And in that space, your self-worth finally breathes. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worth sets me free." Detachment as self-respect. Could walking away be the highest form of love for yourself? We often think holding on shows strength, but sometimes it is in the quiet act of letting go that we reclaim our deepest power. When you let go, you invite what is truly yours to stay. Letting go is not abandonment. It is an act of trust in yourself and in the flow of life. It is like releasing a kite into the wind. You do not chase it through fields or force it to return. You simply watch as it rises, knowing that if it is meant for you, it will circle back without you pulling the string too hard. The same is true with people, opportunities, and dreams. When we release the grip of fear, we create space for what is real to breathe and remain. Imagine placing a heavy stone down after years of carrying it. At first, you almost miss its weight because you've grown used to it. But then, something shifts. You feel your shoulders relax, your breath deepen, and the lightness spreads through your body. This is the relief that comes when you stop proving your worth by holding on to what drains you. Too often, we carry relationships, responsibilities, or expectations far past their time, not because they still nourish us, but because we believe letting go would mean failure. Buddhism teaches that clinging is a root of suffering and detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. It is seeing what no longer aligns with your peace and having the courage to step back without resentment. Ask yourself, what heavy thing have you been carrying just to prove your worth? Is it a friendship that no longer feels mutual? A career path that keeps dimming your spirit? A version of yourself that exists only to keep others comfortable? When you see clearly, you realize that some burdens are not badges of honor. They are signs that you have forgotten your own value. Detachment as self-respect is the decision to honor your well-being over the comfort of the familiar. It says, "I will not shrink myself to keep something that requires my suffering to survive." It is not an act of rejection toward others. It is an act of acceptance toward yourself. And here is the truth. When you let go with love, what is truly meant for you will not vanish. It will remain or return, not because you begged for it, but because it belongs in the space where your self-worth lives. Sometimes the most powerful step toward valuing yourself is the quiet walk away. Not out of anger, but out of devotion to your peace, to your truth, and to the lightness you were always meant to carry. The thin line between humility and disappearing. When does kindness turn into self-erasure? There is a fine and almost invisible line between humility and disappearing, and many cross it without even noticing. To be humble does not mean to vanish. Humility is a light in the heart, but disappearing is a shadow cast by fear, by the quiet belief that your needs are somehow less important than everyone else's. It is like watering every plant in the garden except your own. The flowers around you bloom brightly, but your soil dries and cracks. At first you may think this is noble, that your sacrifice is what keeps the garden alive. But in truth, a garden where you neglect your own roots is incomplete, because your presence is part of its beauty. Imagine yourself standing in a crowd, your voice soft but clear, your presence unshaken. You are not loud, yet you are not lost. You contribute without collapsing into invisibility. This is the balance true humility asks of you, to honor others without abandoning yourself. When you confuse humility with erasure, you start to say yes to what drains you, just to keep peace. You downplay your achievements so no one feels threatened. You silence your truth so others can be comfortable. And slowly you begin to believe the false story that being good means being small. Buddhism teaches the middle path, not leaning too far into pride, nor falling into self-neglect. To value yourself is not to stand above others, but to stand with them as an equal. True humility is grounded. It bows with respect, but it does not kneel in self-denial. Ask yourself, where have you mistaken silence for virtue? Was it in a moment where you swallowed your truth to avoid conflict, or when you let someone's needs override your own, even when it cost you peace? When did you last choose yourself over pleasing others, and how did that choice feel in your body? Choosing yourself does not mean you stop giving. It means you give from a place of fullness, not depletion. It means your kindness is rooted in strength, not in the hope of being accepted. When you value yourself, you understand that your voice, your needs, and your dreams are not interruptions. They are part of the harmony. There is a power in being humble, yet visible, gentle, yet unshaken. The world needs your light, not your absence. And when you honor your worth while honoring others, you create a balance that nourishes everyone, including yourself. Remember, disappearing is not humility. True humility allows you to remain present, to keep your soil watered, and to bloom alongside every other flower in the garden. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worth sets me free." Stop bargaining with your soul. How many times have you traded your peace for approval? It is a quiet exchange, so subtle that you may not notice until the weight of it starts pressing on your spirit. Every time you lower your value, the world believes you. The world does not argue with the price you set for yourself. It simply pays it. It is like selling gold for the price of clay. You may think you are being reasonable, accommodating, or kind, but in truth, you are giving away something rare for far less than it's worth. And once this pattern takes root, others will not question it. They will adapt to it. You, however, will feel the cost in every corner of your being. Picture yourself holding a gem in your hands. You lift it to the light, watching the way it catches and reflects every ray. Notice how it shines whether anyone notices or not. This is your worth, unchanged by outside recognition, unaltered by the shifting moods of the world. The gem does not beg to be valued. It simply is. When you bargain with your soul, you silence your needs to keep the peace. You shrink your boundaries so others can expand theirs. You downplay your abilities so no one feels threatened. But each of these trades chips away at your self-respect until you start believing the discounted version of yourself you've been selling. Buddhism teaches that all suffering begins in the mind. If your mind believes you are less than you truly are, the world will echo that belief back to you. To value yourself is to practice right view, seeing clearly without the distortion of fear or insecurity. It is the recognition that your life is not for sale at a bargain price. Ask yourself, what have you been underpricing in yourself? Is it your time, given freely to people who never reciprocate? Is it your voice, kept quiet so as not to disturb the comfort of others? Or is it your dreams, shelved in the name of being practical? And who benefits from you not knowing your worth? To stop bargaining with your soul, you must first believe that it is priceless. This means setting boundaries that may disappoint others, speaking truths that may unsettle them, and choosing paths that may confuse them. It is not rebellion, it is alignment. When you stop lowering your value, you change the way life meets you. Opportunities shift, relationships deepen or dissolve. The noise around you grows quieter, and in that quiet, your true worth speaks for itself. Remember, the gem you carry was never meant to be traded for clay. Hold it, honor it, let it shine. Whether or not the world claps its hands, that is the unshakable power of valuing yourself. The power of quiet standards. What if the loudest boundaries are the ones you never speak? Not every act of self-respect needs to be declared. Some are lived so consistently that the world learns them without you uttering a single word. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. The way you rise in the morning, the choices you make about where to place your time, the energy you protect. These quiet acts send the clearest messages. It is like a tree that bends only so far before it stands firm again. The wind learns the shape of the tree's limits, and over time, it no longer tries to push it further. In the same way, when you stand firmly in your worth, life begins to adapt to your strength rather than testing it. Imagine drawing a circle of calm light around yourself. It is not a wall people can step inside, but only those who respect the space are welcome. You do not have to explain the circle, defend it, or apologize for it. It exists because you have chosen to honor your own peace. Those who love you will feel it and cherish it. Those who do not will either learn or leave. Quiet standards are built in the smallest moments. They are in the way you say no without guilt, the way you remove yourself from conversations that drain you, and the way you keep your commitments to yourself even when no one is watching. Each choice teaches others what is acceptable in your presence. Buddhism reminds us that self-respect is not a fight against the world. It is harmony with truth. A boundary is not a punishment for others. It is a protection for your own heart. When set with compassion, it does not close people out. It invites the right ones in. Ask yourself, where in life do you need to redraw your circle? Is it in your relationships, where patterns of disrespect have been allowed to repeat? Is it in your work, where your time has been treated as if it were endless? Or is it in your own habits, where you have crossed your own lines too many times to count? When you redraw the circle, expect discomfort, not because you are wrong, but because you are changing the unspoken agreements that once allowed your peace to be broken. Over time, this discomfort fades, and what remains is clarity. You are no longer available for what depletes you. The power of quiet standards is that they do not require approval to exist. You simply live them, and they shape your world. And when your life is built on such silent strength, you stop chasing respect because you already carry it within you. When saying no opens doors, why does refusing the wrong thing often bring the right thing faster? At first, saying no can feel like closing yourself off from life, as if opportunities might dry up if you turn even one away. But the truth is, in every no, A deeper yes is hidden. A no is not an ending. It is the clearing of space for what is truly aligned with your path to arrive. It is like pruning a tree, so the healthiest branches can grow. The act may look harsh from the outside, but it is an act of care. Without it, the tree wastes energy feeding what will never bear fruit. And so it is with our lives. When we keep saying yes to what drains us, we starve the parts of ourselves that are meant to flourish. See yourself closing a door gently, not in anger, not in haste, but with full awareness. And as you step back, you notice another door nearby, bathed in light, one you hadn't seen before. This is the magic of a mindful no. It shifts your attention to the possibilities you once overlooked. Saying no is an act of valuing yourself, because it protects your energy, your time, and your peace from being scattered in places where they cannot grow. Every yes you give is a seed you plant. If you scatter them carelessly, the soil may be barren. But when you choose where they go, the harvest changes entirely. Buddhism teaches us the importance of right effort, directing our energy toward what nourishes our well-being and the well-being of others. Right effort requires discernment. It asks you to pause and ask, does this serve my path, or does it pull me away from it? Without this pause, we end up trading our deepest yes for shallow, short-term comfort. So, what in your life needs pruning? Is it the constant commitments that leave you too exhausted to focus on what matters? Is it the relationships that demand you shrink so they can grow unchecked? Or is it the inner habit of saying yes to avoid the discomfort of disappointing others? And what could grow if you stopped feeding what drains you? Perhaps a long-forgotten passion would bloom again. Perhaps your health, both mental and physical, would strengthen. Or perhaps space would open for new people, opportunities, and insights that truly match your values. Saying no is not rejection. It is redirection. It is telling life, I will not settle for less than what nourishes me. And when you stand in that truth, you find that the right doors open more easily because they are drawn to the space you've made for them. In every no, there is a yes to your worth, your peace, and the life you are here to live fully. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worth sets me free," the sacred pause before accepting less. What would happen if you stopped and truly asked, does this honor me? In a world that moves fast, the temptation to accept whatever comes first can feel irresistible. But the space you allow is the space life will fill. If you rush to fill that space with less than you deserve, you may never see what was meant to arrive. It is like a bowl waiting for water. If you pour in mud just to stop it from being empty, you lose the chance to receive something pure. The emptiness is not the enemy, it is the invitation. In the same way, your pauses, your hesitations, your moments of waiting are not wasted. They are the fertile ground where the right things can take root. Imagine standing in a vast, still field. The air is quiet, the horizon wide. There is no need to move until the right wind arrives to guide your steps.
This is the sacred pause, the decision not to act until the choice before you truly reflects your worth. Too often we mistake stillness for stagnation. We say yes to jobs, relationships, or opportunities just to escape the discomfort of waiting. Yet each rushed acceptance is a silent message to life. I will take less than I deserve if it arrives quickly, and life, always listening, will offer you more of the same. Buddhism teaches the value of mindfulness, not just in thought, but in action. Mindfulness is the art of waiting for alignment, not just movement. It is trusting that the right offering will arrive when the conditions are right, and that your role is to keep your bowl clean and ready. Ask yourself, where do you rush to fill the silence? Is it in relationships, fearing that solitude might mean loneliness? Is it in your work, chasing tasks to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty? Or is it in your self-image, trying to appear complete before you truly feel it inside? What would patience bring instead? Perhaps deeper connections, because you chose only those that truly resonate. Perhaps more fulfilling work, because you waited for the role that respects your skills and values. Or perhaps a gentler relationship with yourself, because you gave yourself the grace to grow before leaping forward. The sacred pause is not about doing nothing. It is about creating space for the right things to find you. It is about valuing your energy so deeply that you refuse to waste it on what does not nourish you. When you can stand in the stillness without grasping for less, life has room to send what is truly yours. And when it comes, it will not just fill your hands, it will fill your heart. The mirror of relationships. What if every person in your life is showing you your own self-worth? The people we allow close to us, the treatment we accept, the words we tolerate, all of them mirror back the belief we hold about ourselves. You only accept the love you believe you deserve. Relationships are not just connections, they are reflections, revealing both the places where we honor ourselves and the places where we have forgotten our value. It is like a mirror that reflects not your face, but your beliefs. When your belief in your worth is strong, the reflection shines back with respect, kindness, and care. When it is clouded with doubt, the reflection may come in the form of neglect, criticism, or imbalance. And if we are not mindful, we start thinking this distorted image is the truth. Picture yourself standing before a calm lake. Its surface is still, waiting. As you look in, what do you see looking back? Is it someone standing tall, shoulders open, eyes filled with quiet strength? Or is it someone avoiding their own gaze, unsure of what they truly deserve? The lake does not lie, it simply mirrors what you bring to it. Every relationship, from the closest bond to the briefest interaction, is part of this mirror. The friend who encourages you may be reflecting the part of you that believes in your dreams. The partner who takes more than they give may be reflecting the part of you that fears speaking your needs. The colleague who respects your boundaries reflects the self that stands firmly in them. Buddhism teaches interdependence, that we are all connected, and through these connections, we come to know ourselves more deeply. Relationships are the ground where our inner truth is tested. They show us not just who others are, but who we believe ourselves to be in their presence. Ask yourself, who in your life reflects your highest self? Who sees you as whole, capable, and worthy without conditions? And who reflects the parts of you that still doubt, the parts that settle, the parts that seek permission to take up space? Both reflections are teachers, one showing you what to grow, the other showing you what to heal. To value yourself is to curate the mirrors you choose to keep close. It is to step away from the ones that distort your image and lean into the ones that remind you of your light. This does not mean cutting others out with anger. It means adjusting the distance so your reflection stays true. When your self-worth deepens, the reflections around you change. The water becomes clearer, the mirrors kinder, and the love you receive begins to match the love you have learned to give yourself. And in that reflection, you finally recognize the truth you were worthy all along, releasing the need to prove. What if the moment you stop trying to prove yourself is the moment you win? The world teaches us to chase validation, to gather applause, approval, and acknowledgement as if our worth depends on it. Yet the deeper truth is that needing to prove yourself is like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how tightly you grasp, it always slips away. Silence is the proof of knowing. When you truly know who you are, you no longer feel the need to explain it to anyone. It is like a mountain, unmoved by praise or criticism. A mountain does not shrink when clouds cover it, nor does it grow taller when the sun shines. It simply remains as it is, rooted in its essence. When we live like this, external voices lose their power to sway us, compliments no longer inflate us, and insults no longer diminish us. We stand in the quiet strength of our own being. Imagine sitting beneath a great tree while the wind moves through the branches. You feel the air on your skin, but you do not chase it or try to catch it. It comes, it goes, and you remain still. This is the way of one who has released the need to prove. They do not chase after what already exists within them. Buddhism teaches that the self we are trying so hard to defend or present is not fixed. It is fluid, changing, and ultimately beyond the labels we cling to. When you stop struggling to prove yourself, you open space for simply being yourself. That being is freer, lighter, and at peace. Consider what you are still trying to prove. Is it your intelligence, your worth, your strength, and to whom are you trying to prove it? Often the loudest need to prove comes from the quietest doubt. When we heal that doubt from within, the urge to convince others dissolves. There is power in walking into a room and not needing to be noticed. There is freedom in letting your actions speak without forcing anyone to listen. You no longer live as a performance, but as a presence. And the more at peace you are with yourself, the more others feel that peace in your company. Ask yourself, who would you be if you no longer needed to prove anything? How would your voice sound if it carried no trace of fear or demand for approval? The answer is not someone smaller, but someone truer. Someone who carries quiet confidence, unshaken by the world's shifting tides. When you release the need to prove, you do not become invisible, you become undeniable. You walk like the mountain, rooted and unshaken, knowing that you were always enough, even in silence. The inner temple of self-respect. Where does self-worth truly live? Many search for it in the eyes of others, in achievements, in possessions, or in the approval of the world. But these are shifting sands, unstable, temporary, and unable to hold the weight of who you truly are. The deeper truth is this: the sacred is always within, before it is without. Self-worth is not something to be found, it is something to be honored. It is like a temple that no one can enter without your blessing. This temple is built not of stone, but of the values you uphold, the boundaries you keep, and the love you give yourself. Its gates open only to those who come with respect. When you understand this, you stop allowing careless footsteps to trample your sacred space. Picture your heart as a candle-lit temple, warm, sacred, and guarded. Within it, there is peace. Within it, there is strength. You decide who may enter, and you decide what is allowed to remain. This is not about arrogance or isolation. It is about remembering that what is holy should not be handled carelessly. Buddhism teaches that the mind and heart are the true seats of sacredness. When you treat them with reverence, you begin to walk differently in the world. You stop saying yes to what disrespects you. You stop staying in places where you are diminished. You stop seeking worth in places that cannot give it. Ask yourself, what rules does your temple live by? Perhaps it is kindness, truth, patience, or honesty. These become your temple laws. And who have you been letting in without permission? Perhaps there are voices, relationships, or commitments that dishonor your sacred space. The temple can only stay pure if you are mindful of what you welcome inside. When you live with self-respect, you do not close your heart. You simply guard its door. You invite in love that nourishes, friendships that honor, work that fulfills, and silence that heals. Anything else, you gently turn away. This is what happens when you truly value yourself. You stop begging for a seat at the wrong tables. You stop making excuses for those who harm you. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. Instead, you become a living temple, standing in quiet dignity, glowing from within. So today, step inside your inner temple. Light its candles, clean its floors, stand at its gate and see who is there. And when you choose to open the door, let it be because they honor the sacred within you, just as you honor it yourself. For in that choice, you reclaim the deepest truth. You were always worthy, and your temple was always yours to protect. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My worth sets me free." Bonus lesson.
When life bows to your worth, what happens when you finally, truly value yourself? Life begins to respond in ways you never imagined. What you seek begins to seek you. The struggle of chasing, proving, and forcing begins to fade. Instead, your presence, rooted in self-worth, becomes like the moon pulling the tides. You no longer grasp at what is not yours, yet everything meant for you begins to move quietly in your direction. Imagine standing at the edge of the ocean. The waves arrive without your command, each one perfect in timing and form. You don't run into the water demanding them to come faster. You simply stand, knowing they will arrive. In the same way, when you honor yourself deeply, you stop chasing what is not ready and you trust what is meant for you to find you. Buddhist wisdom teaches that all things arise from cause and condition. When the conditions of your life are shaped by self-respect, clarity, and inner peace, you create an environment where what you desire can grow naturally. The moment you stop settling for less, you open the space for what truly belongs to you to appear. But many fear the waiting. We try to fill the silence with noise, the emptiness with whatever is available. Yet in that rush, we invite the wrong waves, the ones that crash harshly and pull us under. The patient heart, however, stands calmly at the shore, knowing the right tide will come. Ask yourself, what will you begin attracting once you no longer settle? Perhaps it's love that feels like home, work that aligns with your values, friendships that uplift instead of drain, opportunities that honor your talents. These things do not arrive through desperation, they arrive through resonance. And are you ready to meet that version of yourself, the one who knows their worth so deeply that they no longer plead for recognition? This version of you is not louder, but steadier, not more demanding, but more certain. They understand that life is not about convincing the wrong doors to open. It's about standing before the right ones, trusting they will unlock when the time is right. When you value yourself, life seems to bow in return. People treat you with more respect, opportunities come more easily, and even challenges seem to shape themselves into stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. You are no longer chasing tides, you are welcoming them. So today, stand at your own shore, feel the wind, listen to the waves, and let life come to you in its perfect rhythm. Trust that the ocean of existence knows your name, and that every wave meant for you will find its way without force, without fear, and without fail. Quick summary of the principles, the silent currency of life. Your self-worth is an unseen force that influences every interaction and opportunity in your life. The way you view yourself sets the tone for how others treat you and the kinds of experiences you attract. The chain between craving and settling. When you cling too tightly to a desire, you risk losing yourself in the process. Unchecked craving often leads to compromise and self-abandonment, drawing you further from what you truly deserve. Detachment as self-respect. Letting go of what is not aligned with your worth is a profound act of self-respect. In Buddhism, detachment is not about losing, it's about creating space for what truly belongs in your life. The thin line between humility and disappearing. True humility is strength, but when taken too far, it can erase your presence. It's important to remain kind and grounded without sacrificing your identity or needs. Stop bargaining with your soul. Every time you lower your standards to please others, you silently teach them to undervalue you. Respecting yourself means refusing to exchange your peace or principles for approval. The power of quiet standards. You don't always need to announce your boundaries. Living them is enough. Your actions and choices silently communicate what you will and will not allow into your life. When saying no opens doors. Rejecting what's wrong for you creates space for what's right. A clear no is often the first step toward a more fulfilling yes. The sacred pause before accepting less. Before agreeing to anything, pause and ask if it truly honors your worth. Patience prevents you from filling your life with people, opportunities, or commitments that drain you. The mirror of relationships. The relationships you maintain often reflect your beliefs about yourself. When you believe you deserve respect and kindness, you naturally attract relationships that embody those qualities, releasing the need to prove. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Real strength is found in quiet confidence and knowing your value without seeking constant validation. The inner temple of self-respect. Your self-worth is sacred and must be protected. Allowing people into your inner world should always be a conscious choice, not an act of desperation. When life bows to your worth, when you truly value yourself, life responds in kind. Opportunities, relationships, and experiences align with your energy, and what doesn't serve you naturally falls away. When you value yourself, you stop moving through life like a beggar at the gates of approval. You walk with quiet certainty, knowing that what is meant for you will recognize you. This is the heart of Buddhist wisdom. Your outer world is a mirror, and when your inner worth rises, the reflection transforms. You no longer grasp, plead, or shrink. You simply stand, and life bows in recognition. In Zen philosophy, self-worth is not an ego to inflate, but a truth to honor. It's the unshakable knowing that you are already whole, already enough, and already deserving of peace. Every no you say to what diminishes you is a yes to the life you were meant to live. The shift is subtle, but once it happens, you can never return to the old ways of settling. When you realize your own value, you stop needing others to tell you who you are. So today, ask yourself, does this choice reflect my worth? The moment you begin answering with courage, the entire rhythm of your life changes. If you felt wisdom, hear, like, and share this video. Share your opinion in the comment box and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a peaceful life.